Live.
Louie C. the Mayor checking in. What is going on, my people? Hey, listen, another beautiful, outstanding, wonderful, exciting day in paradise. And let me tell you, there's a lot of things going on. First and foremost, let me give a shout out to FloridaKeysEnergy.com. Lawyers for all accidents in the Keys. If you have an accident on a moped, car, or bicycle, make sure you take care of them boys locally. They're the only ones here local for y'all. FloridaKeysEnergy.com. They definitely gonna make sure you are taken care of. And my main man, Dr. Burrows, backed up by Dr. Pucci and Dr. Tricks, Advanced Urgent Care, Key West Marathon and Key Largo. You definitely need to call ahead for those appointments because it's really backlogged down there. But we're gonna take care of you with the excellent customer service. So all love right now. And also at 7 o'clock, WEOW 92.7 FM, we going in on the freestyle mix, backed up by the bass mix, all the way to 9 o'clock. DJ Slice, DJ DOS, DJ Jack up there, Marathon. My man CO Piscopo 305, Dade County checking in. So I'd like to welcome to the program Mr. Jolly Benson. How you doing, sir?
I'm really good, Louie. How you doing, man?
Good, good. I enjoyed talking to you off camera. I didn't know you was down with them Key West Conk baseball team, so I know we're going to talk about some things. So those y'all that are coming in on the podcast right now, make sure you hit notifications right over here and watching worldwide on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. All love. And we're going to take all questions right now. Any questions you got, we're going to be talking cruise ship business. So, Mr. Benson, a lot of people out here don't have no idea who you are. You want to give them a little brief intro on yourself. Just look right in that camera.
Yeah. So I moved here 6 weeks ago. I decided I immediately needed to change everything about Key West. I was sitting up at my penthouse in New York City drinking a chai latte and decided, you know what, these people doing it wrong down there. I'm going to go change everything.
Wow.
Now, I was born here 1981, graduated class of 2000, grew up out in the backcountry, messing around on the water, you know, just doing the Keys thing, man.
I got you.
I got a lighting business here. I do electrical contracting work. And my dad had that business since 1974.
Okay, so that's Benson Electric. Like we was talking off camera, I used to see your boys riding the big green trucks.
Yeah, that's right.
So you told me you downsized a little bit and kind of changed the business format. But you guys been in business how long, you said?
1974.
1974. Okay. And you're a graduate of what year?
2000.
Okay. We got some people checking in right now. You know this character, Christopher Valdez?
Yeah, man.
Chris Valdez. Let me see. We got Marshall checking in. And 35 years of teaching, Mr. Benson.
She's my favorite teacher.
Is only my favorite. He's a smart one.
Yeah.
Thank you, Martha. All love. Like we said, we had the superintendent on here the other day, and I got to tell you, so much information, and teachers cannot be paid enough. I mean, it's just not. This is priceless job that you do. So all love. Come on in and check in, and let me know where y'all at, what you want to talk about today. But we definitely gonna get into the cruise ship business. Osumbeto, I see you straight out of the 305 Metro Dade, that man on the streets dealing with real stuff out there. So thank you for checking in. And I'm going to tell you again, this gentleman, our son, goes to Gulliver Prep. So we go at war, but he's a conk at heart. So thank you all. Any questions y'all got today, come on in and make sure you hit the notifications button right over here. And make sure you subscribe on the YouTube channel. So over here, Mr. Benson, what we like to do is keep it blood raw and get to the point and the meats and potatoes, and we will talk about anything over here and make sure we just get some good information out. So let's just go ahead and kick it off. My first question is, what's your opinion on cruise ships? What's your position, on cruise ships?
Well, I represent here with you a group called Safer Cleaner Ships. We organized a drive and collected 2,500 signatures to get 3 ballot initiatives, 3 referenda on the ballot. The first one is to limit the capacity of ships to 1,300. The second one is to limit the amount of people that disembark from cruise ships to 1,500 per day. And the third one is to give priority to the ships with the best environmental, health, and safety records. I think all 3 of them should pass, and we'd be well served to implement those right here in our city. They are binding referenda. They changed the city charter. So it's not an advisory thing. This is legit and enforceable. So I'm in favor of that.
So let me just, I just want to make sure, because I'm still learning all the facts about the cruise ship on both sides, so I can make informed opinions. So you said that the first one is to limit the size of cruise ships coming into Key West to 1,300. Is that
Right,
correct?
the capacity, 1,300 passengers and crew combined.
Okay, and then the second one is that no matter how many cruise ships you have in port, only 1,500 could be let
Right,
off.
so the second one, if we get two what's considered very small ships, so say you get two 500 passenger ships, they'd both be able to dock and be able to let their passengers off.
So you got a Benson checking. Who is that?
That's my mom.
Hey, Miss Mom, how you doing? God
Hey, Mom.
bless you. You got a fine son over here, I got to tell you. Okay, so now let me ask you this. Right now, as it stands, do we have a particular control of size of cruise ships?
Right now, there's no regulation besides what can fit in the harbor.
Okay, so as long as you could come in here,
As long as the boats can come in, and they're pretty big. They're 900 plus feet.
Okay, and as far as to let people off, do we have a number on that or no?
Nope, there's no restriction on the amount of people that we can disembark per day.
Okay, so I guess the next logical question, why did you feel a need to put this forward to the people?
Well, we've been looking at this for a while. I was spokesman for a group in 2013 that opposed the initiative by the Chamber of Commerce to look into dredging the channel. That went to a vote, and we won that by 73% of the vote. 73% of Key West decided that they were not interested in exploring widening the channel to accommodate mega ships or bigger ships. And since that time, I've been paying attention, and I get a lot of people come up to me on the street, say, yo, what's going on with these ships? They're getting out of hand. And so since that time, we heard a lot of economic screaming. We're not going to have any more ships if you do this or that or whatever. And since that time, we went from about 700,000 to over 1 million passengers a year. Okay. So the reality of it is that we decided, as Key West as a whole, that there needs to be some say in how we manage this industry and how we deal with these ships that have gotten bigger and are now quite large. And it came to a head, we've been working on this for a little while, but it really came to a head after we started to see cruise ships showing up with infections in Australia. They're responsible for 17% of that country's COVID cases. We saw the Diamond Princess, So that's when we decided it was time to really get the ball rolling with this whole thing.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. So now I have been reading some stuff, and I see that there's a federal lawsuit that was filed. Do you know anything about that? And I understand that you're named in the lawsuit.
Sure.
So you want to elaborate on that?
Our group, the Safer Cleaner Ships Key West Committee for Safer Cleaner Ships, has been named in that lawsuit. It's brought by the Bar Harbor Pilots Association. That's 4 guys bringing in $2 million a year, driving these big boats in. And they decided to sue us because they didn't want the people at Key West to have a voice on this. They decided that they didn't want us to vote. So they brought it to federal court.
Okay, and once again, just to be clear, so who's part of this lawsuit? Who brought this lawsuit forward?
The Harbor Pilots.
And the Harbor Pilots is an organization?
That's an organization. It's a professional group. It's 4 individuals here in Key West.
Okay.
And they're responsible for getting the boats safely into the port, which they do a great job of. But they clear $2 million a year between the 4 of them, and they get paid by the ton. So the bigger the boats, the more the paycheck.
Okay. So my position, and I talked to Tony Yana, shout out to Big Fats.
Fat, what up?
And what I talked to him about was that I really don't have a problem, to be honest with you, that if we didn't have one cruise ship come into Key West at all, period, I just wanted to have a plan where that revenue is going to be replaced, because, it's a tough time, of the day, right in the daytime, early morning, and it's tough to get people to come in.
Yeah.
But I'm for bringing people to the table. And I got to tell you this, I'm going to keep it blood raw on here, 1,000,000%. I have a huge problem when common sense is not used and stuff. And we're gonna definitely talk about it right now. So I understand that we try to put something together, not me, you guys try to put something together to bring both sides to the table and this did not happen
Sure.
at all. And why is this? I mean, let's just give it to the people because
gonna-
we should never got to this point.
I'm going to disagree with you. I think that we do have a place here in Key West for cruise ships. It's just not the big ones that we're getting.
Right.
If we can get smaller ships that come in, carrying less people, not dragging the bottom for a mile and a half, silting up the reef, there's a place for that here. So there's absolutely room for it. I agree with you. I'm totally pro-tourism. I think that we need to make sure that we are representing ourselves well, and that the brand that we have that people see when they're getting off the subway in New York City is something that they can expect to see when they arrive.
And let me make my position clear, okay? Like I said, I don't care how we do it,
Right.
but if we have something that's bringing X amount of dollars, which right now is
Sure.
the cruise ships, and every one of those cruise ships have to be gone for whatever reason, I don't have a problem once again as long as we substitute that revenue with other type of tourism.
Yeah, and we
and
can do that.
if we don't, then I say I keep what I have. But
Right,
to
but
the
we can
rate-
absolutely get to that revenue dollars
my
that we're talking
question,
about.
my question is, why did we not go to? And you got to keep a blood raw out here. Why did we not get to the round table? Because you was willing to come to the table.
Sure.
Your people was coming to the table. So maybe we didn't have to get to this
There
point
was-
because now we're in a point of no return right now.
Right, now we're at a point where the city of Key West, the citizens of Key West are gonna decide for themselves how they want to do business with cruise ships. And, you know, since before my time, in 1996, there was a group that was trying to do this.
Right.
It went nowhere. In 2013, since then, you know, people thought that that was a real good indicator that the city needs to start thinking about how we work with cruise ships to make sure that when they're coming in, we're getting the right kind of cruise ships. And again, they were crying, saying this is the end of it. We're never going to see another cruise ship again if you don't get the Jersey Channel for us. And we went up by 26%. So the revenue streams that you're talking about are there. We just have to find a way that we can tap into resources and make that happen. And, you know, there's some ideas for how to do that. We're talking about straight city revenue, tax dollars into the coffers from disembarkation fees. It's easy enough to do that if we go, you know, if you take our plan and we allow for some growth in that small ship industry segment, you can raise the disembarkation fees. Right now they're at $10.50 a head, and we don't clear $10.50 because we give a lot of that to Pier B. We give a lot of that to the Navy.
Right.
But if we're getting less passengers, we're allowed to raise the disembarkation rate to offset any loss in revenue. Disembarkation fees get complicated when you're talking about the Commerce Clause of the Constitution and the Tonnage Clause of the Constitution. You're only allowed to spend these fees on things that are directly related to the cruise ships themselves. So that means you can't take that money and allocate it towards the second base at the softball field. It has to be spent on the cruise ships themselves. There's an interesting case that we've been looking at in Juneau, Alaska. Juneau, Alaska sees about as many cruise ships as we do, about 1 million a year. They make $8.5 million a year out these disembarkation fees. They were spending those fees on seasonal crossing guards to help the cruise ships across the street, the passengers on the cruise ships.
Right.
They beautified their downtown area, and the cruise lines threatened to sue them, and in fact did sue them, and the city of Juneau had to settle. So we're only allowed to spend the money in certain ways. We can raise it if we get less passengers. We can offset that. Now the spending dollars themselves, we get 1 million passengers on cruise ships. 1 million passengers come on cruise ships. 1 million come by other means, planes, trains,
Right.
automobiles, you know, whatever. The people that come by planes, cars, buses, ferries, spend 92% of our income we get from that group. The 1 million that come off the cruise ships, we get 8%. Now, if you want to take out lodging or whatever, that doesn't seem like a proper way to do it. It's still too low. So to offset that revenue, there's a lot of ways to do it. If we're getting the ships that we're talking about, we let them stay a little bit longer. We let them maybe stay into the nighttime. You know what? They're spending more money. The longer you spend here, the longer time you spend, the more money you're gonna spend. So when we're talking 3 or 4 hours, that's not enough time for people to really enjoy the town, first of all, and secondly, spread those dollars out into the community.
We got some people coming in there. You know this character, Mikey Story?
Yeah, Mikey, what up, man?
Mikey says, rock looking clean. Don't pass out with the mask, man. I'm trying to do the best I can to make it happen. Shout out to Concuts. Michelle Marie got me tight. Mikey says the waters around the island have been so clear without those ships. Like Fat said, they're floating toilets full of sickness. Okay.
All right.
All right. So Elena said, thank you, Jolly, for standing up for our island and our ecosystem. John said, thanks. It's a good idea to let Key West people decide. Okay. So I'm going to let you know what I'm doing. Okay. So I'm late in the game. I'll be honest with y'all on the cruise ships. I'm just trying to put people together. So I'm going to try to mediate the situation to have a compromise where this group is happy and we're happy from the service industry side, and the whole city could work with some, because like you said, I'm glad you said that, you know, stopping tourism and going back to 1940 is just not going to happen, whether it be, you know, cruise ships, and I'm glad that you guys are willing to come to the table. So I think what happens, and we talked about this again off camera, is that you have to have some type of group, and you have to have the pro and the con sitting together at a table and basically try to come up with a solution. Don't be part of the problem, be part of the solution.
Right.
And at a city level where it has teeth. Because if you ask this man to just go out and spend 19 hours on stuff, or 190 hours, and me too, and then we spend all our time, we give recommendation and nothing happens, we just wasting our time. So, you know, like I said, I like to get to the meats and potatoes, and hopefully we could, you know, put this together,
right,
and like that have something that say, look, we decided, we've been at this for months now, and we finally came up with some type of solution that we want, where everybody could be happy.
Sure.
But right now, where we stand, it is what it is, and the referendum is going to be voted. This is November, correct?
Right, coming up November, yeah.
November, and the main thing I'll tell you on anything, forget about the cruise ships, vote or die in 2020, which brings me to my next question is...
But, wait, before you, I want to say something.
Go ahead.
So when you talk about compromise, there is a position that this industry should never be regulated, that they should be able to do whatever they want, and it's pure unfettered capitalism, no matter what the ecological...
Who's saying that?
There's the industry itself is saying that.
Oh, the cruise ship. You're not talking about local...
No, local people admit that there's some reasonable compromise.
Okay.
But then there's people who say, I never want to see another cruise ship ever.
Yes.
And we are right there in the middle, where we can actually make more money for everybody if they'll listen, and have our reef get a little break from all the silt that comes, have our downtown not be overcrowded. We are the compromise. So I'm more than happy to explain that to people. And we did come up with this, you know, these numbers came from somewhere. We didn't pick them out of nowhere.
Here's the travesty. It's not what's going on here. The travesty of this is that it's simple. You don't have to, you know, have calculus or have a PhD to have people sit together and have conversations. Now, we might walk out of the room and agree to disagree.
Inform each other.
Right.
There's something
but
that
the
I missed, there's something that he missed.
The travesty of this is that, unfortunately, sometimes egos get in the way.
Sure.
And I'm not saying it's your side or the other side, and people don't sit at the table. This is why we ended up where we at. Where we at, we have a referendum on the books.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, I'll keep it blood raw. It's going to be very tough for that referendum not to pass. Okay. And number two, fact is that we have a federal lawsuit going. Right. So now, you know, we've seen these things happen before. This could keep going on and just be a war. If we're going to be one human family and work together, well, let's start by doing it, not talking about it, because we talk a lot. Sometimes we don't do a lot. And this got to start, let's be clear, at the city commission level, and those officials have to give teeth if you're going to have a committee of people so they can make recommendations. Because to me, I'll be honest with you, if I go to the table, I'm easy, and there's a plan that I'm convinced with that was bringing X amount of dollars, and I'm convinced that this is a better plan, I don't care what it is. I'm fine with that. I'm just trying to do good business. That's all. I'm not going to be mad with you or whatever because you brought something to the table. Where I have a problem is where people don't want to get together. This is why I have a problem. And Fats, God bless him, he tried to make this happen. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to call no names, but they didn't listen to the man. So that this is why we got this part. So to me, you know, if I was on the forefront of this, I want to let this happen, because you either we tell you nicely, hey, we need to set up a meeting, right, and public officials, right? You work at the pleasure of taxpayers, right?
But at this point, it needs to go. The referendum is set. The people need to have their voice. Let's see what they say, and then the city commission can take that and become a leader, not just here in Key West, but worldwide. how an industry can work with a town, and it doesn't have to be contrary. We can make the cruise lines more money than they're making now. I'm sure of it, if they're willing to sit down with us.
Nobody got a person to sit at the table from the cruise ship industry and have a discussion in Key West.
There is a liaison, and we pay dues.
But we didn't do it though.
It hasn't happened.
So that's the facts, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So now it goes to referenda. The people need their voice. The city commission at this point should say, let's let the people decide what they want to say.
Right.
And at that point, they should take the reins and forge a path forward, not just for us in the US, but worldwide, Louie. We can be the starting point.
My man, see you on that worldwide, like we on that YouTube. Hit the subscribe button right over here. The notifications here on the Facebook Live. And I'm going to let you get some of these questions. Can you see these coming in right here? I think we'll start right there.
Carrie Gens Nicholson. I agree 100% with you. 8% not worth it.
Okay, next one.
The amount of money cruise ship passengers spend depends on which stop we are at on their cruise. If we're first stop, they spend a lot more money than if they're the last stop on their way back to port. Agree.
You agree with that?
Yeah, okay. But, like I said, we need to if we get a smaller ship, they're not trying to rush everybody on and off the boat. They can spend a little bit more time, go see another art gallery, come see some entertainment, go to the theater.
Read that one for me.
That's my brother. Louie, have you been out on the water and seen a difference?
I have not been on the water, but however, all my family is commercial fishermen, and they're getting ready for the lobster season. So I respect that, and I don't play around with boats, whether it be cruise ships, dinghies, any type of boats. I'll be honest with you, because I'm very careful who I go out on the water with. Because I come from the old school of Gulf seafood and Stock Island. So I came into Key West when I was young. I used to come down for the summers, and I've been on the crawfish boat. I know how to throw them traps off the boat.
No, that's hard work, bro.
Yeah. So I'm glad I did that, because to me, I'll be honest with you, anybody I have, I'm calm, a little bit calmer in my older age. But I still got a very low tolerance when we start complaining about working in entertainment. Right. Around my people, they know not to bring that up. Because throwing them it's fun when you're catching lobster. Yeah. It ain't fun when you pulled about 50 traps here, you see the lobster nowhere to be found. That ain't fun. Hey, I'll be honest with you.
If you out at a bar, cuz, and somebody's talking about arm wrestling and he says he's a commercial trap fisherman, do not engage with that man in an arm wrestling contest. You will lose. Yep. You see forearms that look like a grapefruit. You know what I'm saying? It's hard work.
And to your point, watch a perfect storm in case you have an experience. And, anything can happen on that water. Look at that poor lady. I don't know the girl that was lost at sea. She was an actress with her son. That's very sad, man.
It's terrible. It's a tragedy.
You want to take some more over here with me?
Yeah, Carrie's got another one. What'd she say? The reefs and ocean is regenerating. No cruise ship tourists, either plane or automobile. Yes. These tourists spend money staying at B&Bs and hotels, as well as spending money by eating and recreational activities on the island. Well, there you go.
Thank you, Miss Carrie, for your comment.
Oh, Carrie's getting them in there, huh?
Carrie, thank you. This is what we want, interaction. We'll be here, Benson.
We reading them? Yeah.
We'll be out. Go ahead. What else we got there so we can get to some people?
Moved to Key West in 99, graduated from FKCC with my marine environmental technology degree. I saw a huge difference in the reef and ecosystem by living there until 2007.
Thank you for your comment.
Yep.
So incredibly sad, she says. How about that one right there? Let's read that one right here with Valdez. See that
Jorge
one?
Valdez?
Yeah.
That was due to hurricanes. Okay. Sandkey was devastated, absolutely beaten, barren. There's a whole comment there.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and run through them, and then we'll keep going.
Laura DiBella says, I'm confused. The 2013 study was an environmental and economic study that would have answered a lot of the cruise ship impact questions and concerns. If you care so much about protecting the environment, why did you fight not to allow a free study by the USACE to take place or further report your costs? Laura, when the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers engages in a study like this is not step 1, this is step 9. When they engage in a study like that, they're already with the understanding that they're going to be proceeding with the project. So to say that this is a study to see what's going on, we have that. The Murray report in 2005 lays a lot of this out for you. So when the Army Corps of Engineers is asked to engage on something like this, the process has already started. And that's why we opposed it so vehemently. There's nothing that we can learn from expanding the channel here with dredging that we were prepared to lose. We're not ready to lose that reef and that coral that's out there in exchange for bigger ships. And that's why it won by 73%.
Yep, I know it was overwhelming. Yep. So that's a good question. Who else we
Can
got?
you talk about the environmental impacts on the ship? I got something for you, actually. I want you to read. It's a little bit long. But
Okay. All right. It is important for the tourist industry to remember that many of our tours of the Keys are here because the environment is special. Fishermen come here because there are fish to catch, and if fishing is bad, they will no longer spend their dollars in Monroe County. Snorkelers and divers come because the reef is alive and beautiful. They will not come in the future if the reef dies. The bird watchers and the natural lovers, the beach walkers, all those who seek natural beauty will no longer visit the Keys if these scenic delights are degraded. Whenever the industry does to improve the quality of the environment, will be repaid tenfold over time, increase towards revenues. By our very need for economical survival, businessmen should be the greatest guardian of the Keys environment, penned by Ed Swift.
right, that came out in a book called The Monroe County Environmental Story. I remember reading this when I was in 7th grade, and it really struck a chord with me that the economic viability of Keys, and Key West in particular, comes from the reef, it comes from our nearshore waters, it comes from our pristine environment. The more we can do to preserve it, the more we're going to be able to attract tourists who are desiring that, and the better off we'll all be. So when we're talking about economy, we are talking about jobs, right? So let's get to the jobs thing. I want to talk to John Martini in a little bit. But because of this, when we're talking about economy of the reef and of our ecosystems, there's numbers that are tossed out right now. 833 jobs lost. What we're not talking about now is the jobs that we're already losing in your family's business. The commercial fishermen have it harder than they've ever had it. Every year is getting worse. It's getting harder and harder to go out and fill up the cooler. You know what I'm saying? People running farther and farther to fill up that same box. And if our visitors aren't able to fill up that cooler, you know what? They're going to go somewhere else. So when we're talking about 833 jobs, what about the commercial fishermen jobs? What about the guides? What about the dive boats? There's a lot more than 833 jobs at stake with the reef. And we need to make sure that we understand that that is the thing here that is irreplaceable. It's priceless. We can't go buy another one.
Let me tell you something that I believe in for tourism, okay? So you ever been to a Dolphin game?
Yeah, man.
Okay. So in the Dolphin Stadium, they got a whole bunch of people that can go to the game, right?
Sure.
60, 70, whatever the number is, right?
It's got to be like $100,000 now, man. With that expansion.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is when you buy a ticket, there's different ticket levels.
Sure.
Right? So maybe me and you, like I said, we go to the 50-yard line and get some prime tickets, right? Watch the game. But not everybody could afford those tickets. Some people have to sit what I call the 400 level because maybe they have a family of 6 or 7 and they can't, spend that money to be in a prime ticket, and a hot dog costs $11 or whatever it is. So to me, I'm in the entertainment business. So if I have an event, right, and I want you to follow me, I have an event, and I could sell everything platinum VIP, which means the highest end, all 300 tickets platinum VIP.
Sure.
Why would I have 700 people in the club? I love to turn up, and I appreciate that. But I sold the 300 people with maximum triple times of what I could sell 700 with that ticket value. So to me, I think that, once again, things need to balance out. Now, if we had the whole city could come in and every customer that comes in could be platinum VIP, I say that's great. And my point is that, it costs money to be down here because you got a hotel room. By the time you add it up, it's a lot of money. So right now, I don't think the whole city is platinum VIP. So I'm for anything that brings up, better people, but I'm not for restricting people. I'm not for, like in Miami Beach, for example, where they said spring breakers are coming in town. Oh, no, we have to stop the alcohol at 2 o'clock. But then, next month the jazz is coming in. That's fine. We'll keep the regular hour. Oh, no, we have Memorial Day weekend. It's a hip hop weekend. No, we got to go to 2 o'clock. So, in my opinion, what I'm seeing, a lot of the people here that Conks brought over here because they like Key West, and I'm not saying nothing related to you or whatever, that they're trying to change what they like, and this was brought up by Dennis Wardlow. So I think once again we need, especially now, work together. And the only thing I'll tell you is that I hate situations that kick people when they're down. I'm very passionate about that. And we're in the middle of a pandemic, and my people are hurt. Let's be
I hear
honest.
you, brother.
You know, they can't eat sandwiches. They have to go on the live to do performances to get money, and then to tell them, let's say that was your part of your income with the cruise ship. That's why I'm not mad with you. I'm mad that we didn't get this done correctly. At least have a sit down. Now, if we did that and we couldn't agree, then I said, okay, you couldn't agree with it, but we didn't even try. This is why I'm having a problem.
Louie, let me tell you, I'm a 400 level guy myself, okay? I ain't balling like that, you know what I mean? I got a house in Newtown that I rent. So I think, first of all, spring break is going to be really important because those people, you know what they do? If they come down and they have a good time, they come back when they're 30 years old. They come back when they're 35, 40 years old. They bring their family with them. So I think it's important to make sure that we do have a diverse range of economic visitors come with us. Now, what we're not discussing is how do we get those people here without ruining or destroying or compromising ourselves. You want some off-the-wall ideas that nobody's vetted? I got them. We need a campground. We need a campground that charges $45 a night for people to come in their early 20s. They can stay here for 2 nights, 3 nights, get the experience, get the taste, come back when they're 35 years old. Okay? Gotcha. Another thing that this is, again, off the top, like, I think about this a lot because I wouldn't be able to afford to come here if I didn't live here.
Right.
So you want to offset some revenue, let people put their RVs on the beach overnight. You show up after sunset, you got to leave by 8, $50 a day.
What I'm saying?
Are
you in favor of cruise ships staying overnight?
Yeah, I think if we can work it out so they're staying at the outer mole and it's a small ship that's not an imposition to anybody, they should absolutely be spending the night.
But let's do common sense, right? So if the cruise ship comes in for 3 hours,
yeah,
but one is now here for 24 hours,
right?
It's going to be more revenue because you got more time. Because a lot of the people, I'm overnight. I'm on the tail end of the late night entertainment.
Exactly right.
It doesn't really affect me early, but on the late night, people are able to go out, maybe to a club, stay out a little bit more on the streets. Like I love when the military ships came in. There was a lot of people that let many people off or whatever, and that boosted the economy because as you can see around here, we had a lot of business, a lot of people turn over power because they just can't make it, and we got to figure something out. I believe we're on the verge of collapse here if we don't balance out when we talk about this COVID, right. Because to me, you have the panic on the right side, which I understand. People are scared. I really do. And then you have the people, I call it, they turned up and they don't care about nothing. Right. That's no good at all. Somewhere in the middle is where we need to be. But shutting down stuff and saying this is what it is, no. Because I'll be honest with you, there's people who have not missed their paycheck. Yeah. And they got extra money due to the stimulus. And then there's people like my people who haven't got a check since March 17th. They briefly reopened and then they shut down. That's a tough one.
Dude, it's a hard thing, man.
Yeah, it's tough. For people, with all, even, for self-employment, it's a disaster with the unemployment for the state of Florida.
Right. And that's why when you talk about what we're talking about, say an overnight ship, you're in favor of that, right? A ship can hang out at the outer mole.
All day. It's up to me, they all should come overnight.
That's what I'm saying. But, I can't speak for the Pier B lease owners, right? If they want a ship lock in there.
You're talking about Margaritaville?
Yeah, Margaritaville Pier. Like, they have a hotel that looks out at the water. I couldn't speak for them. And I know we can't put it in Mount.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Because this is... And I'm just trying to find out information because I don't know all the facts. That's why I'm not, going in on my official position because I want to know exactly. I want to learn it from the top to bottom. So if this referendum, I think number 3 is not a problem. I think
number 3 should get 100%.
Yeah, so that's not a problem. So
right.
we agree there, right? So if that passes, 1 and 2 passes, right?
Right.
Does that affect Pier B?
Yes.
Okay, so Pier B, even though it's privately, sure, it's shut down. That's my first question.
Well, it must be nice, right, to say something's private, but you don't have to listen to city code. Like, so I'm on my private property.
I don't know. I don't know what it is, but you're saying if the referendum passes, it affects Margaritaville. In that
sure.
Way. Okay. And then can the city turn around and lease that to a private entity if the referendum passes and not running themselves?
Lease Pier B?
No, their own.
The Navy.
Yeah, the Navy.
Well, we leased that from the Navy. Yeah. So the city right now is the leaseholder with that, and right. They could...
At the Navy, I'm sorry.
Yeah, at the Navy Pier. I don't know if they could turn around and sublease it. I would think that that's not in the best interest of the city of Key West because it has so many potential uses that we should be looking at exploring ways in partnership with the Navy. They get kicked in the balls a lot but they're a good neighbor for the most part. So we should be working with the Navy.
No, Navy's great. I mean,
come
Navy
on.
saved us plenty of times. I mean,
And
and even though this pandemic, and I'll tell you all this, that this is not, because there's a lot of panic. Like when these numbers come out for the COVID, it's not a surprise to me and Dr. Burrows. We know these numbers are going to skyrocket. We're far from the peak, and we're going to keep breaking records.
shout out to him for doing what he does every single day.
Advanced urgent care,
Hard
Key
work.
West Marathon, and Key Largo taking care of people. So what I look at is the hospitalizations, right?
Sure.
Because when that hits, I'll be the first one to tell you that if that's in what I call a code red, I'll be the first one to tell you if you have to shut that US one down by force, go ahead and shut it down, because at the end of the day, it's about safety of people. But like I said, unfortunately, we have to learn how to live with the COVID. The good news is there's good medicine coming out, and we had a positive thing on a vaccine that just came out the other day, so I was happy about that. You want to take some of these questions? Go ahead.
So
and
we're
then we'll go
talking
to the
about
questions.
a boat, right? That's going to spend the night,
Right.
Right. So right now, the CDC has a no sail order. No cruise ships can come
And that's till September or something?
till September, just extended today. But there's an exception. You know what that is?
I don't.
Small ships. So
Really?
right now, we could get a boat
Yeah.
that's 200 passengers. It's called an expedition class vessel.
Right.
They could be coming here.
Right.
Right. So when this industry ramps back up, what do you think is going to be the first industry to come online? It's going to be the small ships.
Right.
So if we're talking about only dealing with the ships that we've been getting, we're in a losing proposition. We're already losing time. Let's go talk to these smaller operators and say, hey,
Well,
you guys want to come
keep
back?
saying the same thing, that we need to sit to the table,
Right.
but nobody want to provide the
Well, here's
goddamn
the-
table.
I'm just a dude, Like I call a cruise line and they answer the phone, but they can't give me any
Right.
authority. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that has to come from the city,
Right.
And we should be looking at that
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
So-
If it was, and I only can speak for me, if I was on the diocese and you came to me, I don't care if it's cruise ship, whatever it is, we have to sit down. It's not about my opinion. I'm a taxpayer. You asked me to do something.
That's right.
I want to, appease people, and this is what should be happening.
Right.
And this is why we have a disconnect. Everybody want to go off. You can't win goddamn state championships unless you have a team and everybody playing their position.
That's
This
right.
man is playing second base, and he constantly over there on my side of first base. Balls go through the middle of the infield. We lose the state championship.
That's how
because of that.
that's
So we got to change. Something got to change. And to be honest with you, I've made very vocal about how I feel about our mayors, and I don't have to get in it today. But I got to tell you, I respect the people enormously. I just disagree with their position, and it's my right to exercise my right to vote.
Right.
So in
And you better
2020,
do it.
and I do it all the time. I get a lot of people to vote, and this is a problem. Talk big, don't vote big. Talk big, don't vote big. Hit the notifications on right here on the Facebook Live, on the YouTube. Those of y'all watching worldwide, please subscribe to our channel and let's make it happen. Boy, you got a lot of people coming in, so I want to get to everybody. So who's that,
Talia Monticello is watching.
Hey, thank you. So let's go ahead and take some questions.
Carrie, how do you suggest we go about protecting those jobs of the fishermen as well as the service industry and businesses while keeping and preserving our reefs? How do we equal that out? The first thing we got to do is make sure that it doesn't die. Let's keep it alive, and then we can start talking about artificial reefs. We can
Right.
start talking about coral populations. We can start talking about fish populations.
Right.
We can start bringing about this ecosystem that is on the verge of collapse. And I got to tell you, I go out there. My brother's a fishing guide. He's out there every single day. Since March, we've seen the water clear up. The seagrass right here in Pearl Basin, amazing.
Yeah.
The other day, he's sending me pictures of a shrimp hatch in the middle of the day. You know what? That stuff hasn't happened in a while.
Right.
Everybody I'm talking to, it's the best it's been in 20 years, 30 years. That's
Yep.
the reality. So if we make sure that we have those jobs can stay with us. And then the service industry is going to be compromising and when it comes back online. Right now they're at zero, basically.
Right.
But when they do come back online, if we have these ships in place that are coming, they're going to be hiring the amount of people that they need. And if you used to have a job that was doing something, but you don't have Cuise disease, guess what? You're going to find a job that's in a parallel industry.
Now, one thing I'll say about that to interject is, like, my people are suffering with the service industry.
Yeah,
right?
no doubt.
So that's their profession, okay?
Right.
And, like I took a great offense is, well, we're going to shut restaurants down at 11. I hate to tell you, you don't make any money at 50% at a
Not at
restaurant,
all.
right?
Right.
So this is not about the time that we shut down or about revenue. This is the direction that people come in here. Like, for example, if you go a business and they treat you with bad customer service, you're not going to go to that business. We're in the business of tourism. So if I go in here and I spend $8,000 coming out here, and every corner I turn, I'm getting crushed by something and disrespect. I hate to tell you this, but yesterday I was on the street, right? What did the mask rule said? You have to have a mask when you walk on the street. We don't care if it's 90 degrees or 902 degrees, right? So what do? I have my mask on going about my business. So when I'm going about my business on Duval Street, I say to my friend, boy, it's hot out here, boy. I tell you, I feel sorry for the people that got to be out here doing construction. And then I seen enforcement when I get in the car of a guy who's drilling a jackhammer in the goddamn street on the asphalt with somebody in his grill of enforcement. I ain't gonna call no names, telling them that where you are drilling that, you got to put that mask on or whatever. To me, and that man had a mask on. He was just basically doing. Do you know what the index is on that heater? So this is where I get really uptight. That ruined my whole day for that situation, because I felt for that person. That man's working. You don't get paid a lot of money for that. And to be honest with you, that's a health risk, because you're going to pass out.
Yeah.
You're guaranteed to pass out.
It's hard work, man. But so enforcement should be going around just like being nice. Say, hey, you got to have this on. It's not just for me or for you. It's for everybody. Like, I'm keeping my mask on for you. You're keeping your mask on for me. It's something that we all going to have to do for a little while. And Key West can do it. We can do this. We're still going to be the most desirable place in the country.
It's paradise.
It's paradise, and we need to make sure that when we're telling people this is paradise, that we live up to that. We can't be having this.
I'm going to let you take some questions here.
All right.
Go ahead.
From Jorge?
Yep, going on down.
Key West is not cheap to visit. Coming by cruise ships that allows a passenger to visit here for a short period of time and then get a taste of it and then come back and spend money by staying here. Staying here for a couple days or a week, or sometimes people would never come here because they see how much hotel prices, plane fares are. Yeah, that's right. It is expensive.
This is George. He drives a cab, and it was a big. There was a big. Did we get to? Was this a statement?
It's just a statement.
Okay. Well, thank you for being on the podcast, George. I love you. And then there was a situation about the Ubers and the taxi drivers.
Sure.
Right. So I'll be honest with you, we ain't immune to stuff, even though we're kind of part of the United States. We're really not, but we really are in the United States, right?
Sure.
So to me, I understand. People come up from up away, only spend a day here and leave back, take away from locals. I understand that part.
Sure.
But I also look at that somebody was able to do a business now, right? Because if you wanted to start making a couple dollars, you could sign up for Uber and you're a local person or whatever. So you got to hustle. In the electric business, there might be things that change. Entertainment for sure.
You got to adapt with the times.
Right. So I'm not saying that I'm 1,000,000% and with Uber come down, but eventually it was going to come. You got to pick up your hustle. Like right now, does this look like we're entertaining, turning up? I mean, we are entertaining, but we're not in the club or whatever. We can't do anything with the club. So what we're doing is we got different stuff that we do, and we just keep it moving. You got to adapt to the times. The whole idea of what's going on is your job, my job, and my man Mike on production today. Thank you, Mike. You're doing a great job. Is to go back home to your family alive.
That's right.
That's your number one. Cruise ships and all that, everything, entertainment's all secondary. And we have to be positive to each other. But I like what you said. I don't have a problem. We always got, like in the club, we always got a couple knuckleheads in the bunch. We don't want to throw nobody head first. Trust me, we don't.
Yeah.
Once in a blue moon, there's just no other way to do it, and we don't like to do it never. So if we talk to the people and then the knuckleheads not complying, then I suggest we got to, turn up and do what we need to do.
Right.
What I suggest is, like, for example, would you agree that the people that are not cooperating in business is in the minority? I'm talking about in the business.
Oh, yeah.
So what I'm going to do, and I'll say this straight up for anybody in City Hall listening, if I was there, up there with y'all, I'm going to have a meeting. I'm going to say, listen, anybody who's not cooperating, trying to circumvent the system that's out of control, lack of respect, I want every single resources that we got in this goddamn city to go hit them. I'm not talking about just code show up. I'm talking about every department at one time, like SWAT team, and I want you to go through. I want you to do the whole thing from A to Z, because tell them we're not having everybody else that's working. I'm not going to take it out on everybody else that's doing well, because we got a couple knuckleheads in a bunch. That's my philosophy.
But in this, it's not just Key West. This whole country's going to have to go through a belt tightening. We're going to have to deal with the fact that we live in a different era than we did in January. and Key West is going to have to come out on top. We always come out on top in the past, and we're now prime position to take into account how we do that. Do we want to go back to exactly how it was? I think a lot of people say no.
Gotcha.
We want to make sure that we present ourselves, that our brand as Key West is living up to what we're selling.
Yeah, and that's what scares me, that we're losing our character, and we're going a different direction, because you pretty much, were you born in Key West?
I was born on Stock Island.
Okay, so you straight out of the rock. Stock Island is the future, right? So the people came from what they seen, they loved it, like we talked about.
Right.
You know, now there's people that, let's be clear, a whole bunch of people that want to change this whole stuff or whatever. We accepted you down here. You came down as a free country, obviously, but you came because you like the character Key West. Why are we trying to change it? I'm not talking with the pandemic. I'm just talking about in general. You know, don't try to come out here and take over stuff or whatever, because at the end of the day, I hate to tell you, and like we talk about the referendum, the majority will rule.
That's right. And so when we're talking about changing it, I feel like it's changing, and it has changed. I would like to go back a little bit towards when we had clear water near shore. We had a shrimp hatch right in Pearl Basin. We had a living reef. We could make a living fishing off the reef, make a living diving, go out and do the recreational stuff that we're losing a hold of. It's getting away from us. And we're at the point now where we're able to take a hold of that and say, this matters so much to us that we can figure out a way to incorporate that into our future.
You don't really know me. You know, I know you don't know me, but you don't know me personally. But what I love most about this podcast, every day, as always in my life, I learn stuff, and especially when people are informed. Yeah. I come from the school. If somebody has information and you're not an expert on that, you at least have to listen. And if young people did more listening, they'll definitely be better for it. Agreed. Because everybody can't be a CEO. Like I said, this man got to play second base. I got to play first base. We got to have Coach Fraga out there coaching. Everybody got to play a position. So play your position. And before you go on this foolishness of the social media rambling, find out facts. Do you know how many people don't know the difference? You'd be shocked how many people don't know the difference between fact and opinion. They really don't know what a fact and opinion. And they also, the main thing I would say, a lot of people don't know how to agree to disagree.
Sure. Well, fact and opinion now in the age of social media, you don't need to hear a fact, because somebody's opinion can count as a fact because you already agree with it, and then you take it and you run with it, right, instead of saying like, well, there might be an opposing view, or there might be somebody that's differentiating in opinions here. Gotcha. So yeah, for sure.
Let me ask you a question. It's a hot political climate. What are your thoughts?
Oh man,
it's hot.
Just vote. You know what?
Vote or die, I say.
Don't get upset with people that disagree with you.
Gotcha.
Try to convince them in a calm way, and then go to the ballot box and cast your ballot. And
I'll be honest with you. We have a real simple rule around here. If you're not registered to vote and you can be registered, you just don't do it. We never will talk to you about politics. So when you start going in, we say, "Are you registered to vote?" Nothing to talk about. When you get that ballot in and you get registered and you talk to us, because why are you talking to me, wasting my time? You didn't even take a step to vote. And then you want to complain about stuff, right?
Voter turnout in the country is a terrible thing. Key West does better than the country. I will give us that. We're still too low. We need to be at 100%. You know, maybe 98% because somebody got something.
You know what the supervisor elected challenged me to get to?
What's that?
85%. She said she'd be.
I think we can do it. And you know how we do it? Make it a holiday. It's a federal holiday. Voting day is a holiday.
With us, you could go. You could get off the clock and go right here. We were right across the street.
Across the street.
You could go out there. Shout out to Joyce out there, supervisor election. Stacy Powell doing it big. So you want to take a couple more questions here?
Yeah, Carrie says, I agree, but how do we equal this out? Limit the number of cruise ships coming in. Limit the size of the cruise ships coming in. Okay. Get smaller boats. Don't drag up silt. Don't overcrowd us. We can make it work.
What else you got?
She says, camping is also another good idea, but where Key West has limited space. That is part of the problem. You know.
So let me just say this, and I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah. That was great. See how me and this man gonna get along fine. You know why he came out? He came out on outside the box. Okay. Yeah. Because basically you kind of figuring a way for affordable, right? That's affordable if you could get a good rate. And then a lot of people. This is gonna sound very radical. And I know this is crazy, right? So you know the Airbnb, right? Yeah. And forget about, let's take the pandemic out, right?
Sure.
If you pay X amount of rent, right? Yeah. $3,350, right? And you're able to rent a room, right? And let's say you're able to knock half of it off, right? Therefore, might not be the best quality of living, you become affordable. Now, I understand the flip side of that,
Sure.
the neighborhood and all that, but this is the type of thinking that I'm trying. You got to go outside the box because how long have you been working on affordable housing in Key West? I mean, it's
Too
been,
long.
and is it really affordable housing when we call it affordable?
It's very hard to consider that affordable housing. But, you know, when we're talking about Airbnb, there's places like Aspen and a couple other resort towns like us. They put a tax on an investment home used for vacation rentals. So if you don't
Special
live
tax,
there,
right.
you get taxed.
I
And
get
you know what? The people who are buying these houses and renting them out, they can afford that tax. I don't think it should. I think we should cap it. I don't think you should have too many vacation rentals. If you're talking about a room in a house where me and my family live and we can rent out that room, I got no problem with that.
Well, you can't do it right now.
Right now that, but you know, I'm not really.
And the Keys.
In the Keys, you can't do that. But you know, I think that people buying investment houses and renting them out on Airbnb is something that we're going to have to look at because it is such a desirable place, and you can make money doing it. Right. But we need to make sure that when we're talking about like economy, the Key West economy is not limited by the amount of jobs we have. It's limited by the amount of places we can afford to live in.
Square footage.
Right? So when you look at right now in the middle of a pandemic, go on Google, type jobs wanted Key West. There's 150 of them. Type in apartments for rent, there's 12.
Wow.
So where are we going to put
Hold
those
on.
people?
Say that again.
Well, if you look for jobs wanted right now, there's 150 of them. Good paying full-time jobs. You look at apartments for rent, there's 12.
Yeah. Big Mike, didn't you just get an apartment in Stock Island?
Yeah, I'm working on one myself.
And it's expensive out there, even in Stock Island.
Even in Stock Island.
It's tough.
Tough.
Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. We got to back to the level of the Miami Dolphins, and you know we have
There's
to work
solutions for that, Louie.
Yeah,
and like I'm a cruise ship guy, right? You know, like I've got this initiative, but I live here too.
Right. And
so
you talk on top of that.
When I look at a place like Bahama Village and I see people not being able to afford to rent in their own family homes and that they've owned for 4 generations, the city of Key West needs to step up and make sure that those people can afford to pass their houses on to the next generation, that we can keep the fabric of the community, that it's not pulled out from under us. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And
I got you. I'm with
and
you.
there's ways to do it. We just got to say that there needs to be a compromise from people who are willing to do anything for $1.
There you hit it again. You have to work with people, sit down, and come to solution.
Right.
Drastic situation call for drastic action, and you have to listen to the people. That's why majority rules, and you got to get out there and vote. And if you have somebody up there that you don't like, it doesn't see your views, very simple, vote them out of there. And if you have enough people to vote them out of there, just all the way to the level of Washington. Some of y'all want to see a change in Washington? Well, get out there and vote. If you don't vote, you don't have a chance. That's a whole different topic there that we got. You want to take a couple more here so we can.
I think they're having their own conversation going here, doesn't it? What's the benefit of coming after sunset? Nightlife of Key West. That's true. You know, but again, that goes back to, I think they're talking about a ship spending the night.
Okay.
Right? And I agree with that.
Talking about blocking the view.
It ain't going to happen in Mallory Square. Let's be clear with that.
Well, that we could agree with that. This is our sunset, right?
I can't speak for the owners of Margaritaville.
Right.
I would assume their hotel
People
rooms.
want to come to the sunset.
Right, but if we're talking about the Navy Pier, which is out of the way,
right,
we could have a boat there. Right. Let's think about it. You know, let's talk.
So to be clear, we're saying overnight at the outer mode, not
not in Mallory.
Not in Mallory Square, blocking the sunset. Nobody's going to.
Nobody wants that noise.
Okay, what else we got there?
They on Mallory Square. Jorge and Carrie getting into it. My brother says. Will
the Thrill.
Shout out to Will.
Will the Thrill.
Smaller ships that stay longer or overnight will be more likely to have passengers that will return as hotel guests. Let them stay long enough for us to take them fishing for a full day, and they will come back. He's right about that.
It's common sense.
There you go.
And so you do agree, because there was people that disagree with this, that if you come into Key West for the first time and you see where we live at in paradise like nowhere else, and you see something that you never seen, you might want to come back. But some people are saying that this doesn't happen, and I tell them I disagree with this common sense. Of course that happens.
When we're talking about cruise ship passengers coming back and then come back overnight, the only independent study that has ever addressed that, I mean, the most of it is cruise ship industry. And the question they ask is not, will you come back to Key West? It's, will you revisit a destination that you visited? So the majority of those people sailing out of Miami, sailing back into Miami, check yes, because they're going to go on another cruise out of Miami.
Right.
The only independent study comes from a guy who sums it up pretty quickly. The most likely people who are going to come back and visit you as overnight guests are current overnight guests. The most likely people to come back as cruise visitors are current cruise visitors. So we're at about 1%. The TDC says a higher number.
Right.
There's certainly room for people to come and experience a ship or experience our place for the first time. And we want you to fall in love. We want you to come back here. Oh, thank you. We're getting drunk through our hands.
Yeah, we're making it happen.
Doing shots, bud.
Yep. Let me tell you something.
Don't you guys ever forget.
We all the way live out here on the podcast. My man Benson doing it big with a capital B.
Yeah.
So I got to tell you, we've seen all kinds of polls for political stuff, right? And these are great, but I'll be honest with you. Common sense tells me if you take me someplace, right, and I go to a place to eat, I've never been over there, and this is wonderful.
Sure.
I'm going to try to come back there, right?
Yeah.
And then this gives opportunity for people to come into the Key West because it's not cheap to come
No,
in.
it's
And to
not.
be honest with you, where you from and where I'm from, it's the new Key West in Stock Island. We ain't never seen people walking around Stock Island with maps. I'm gonna tell you that. We ain't never had no $8 million park in Stock Island. We ain't playing. Shout out to Rick Ramsey and the Sheriff's Department. They're not playing over there with any type of foolishness out there. You think people are gonna come to Stock Island and spend millions and millions of dollars like they have on hotels? Of course they see the future. I've been telling y'all Stock Island's the future. Now we in it. We in the moment now.
We're in the middle of it.
So what a beautiful thing is Stock Island. I'm Stock Island. I could be there all day at all, will not miss the city at all because that still got the character. And then I would just tell you this: if you come in town and you book at the Perry, and when you drive over there through a taxi or Uber, however you get there, you start thinking that you might be in the wrong place, man. I think I'm just the wrong head. You sure I'm going the right way because the scenery don't look absolutely so favorable, right? Let's be honest. But then you pull up to the Perry's, and this is incredible. We're one of the few destinations that can get away with such a thing.
Yeah, where we could have that contrast. But the problem is, or part of the problem is, when those people at the Perry decide to come downtown, there's 10,000 passengers that are offloaded at the same exact time, and they get turned off. And they always ask the concierges, should I go downtown? And if there's two ships, the concierges say, you know what, maybe consider something that's not immediately downtown right now. So the people that are coming, we need to make sure we take care of them too.
Look, I come from the school of MTV Spring Break, right?
Yeah.
So I'll be able to tell you the first thing that I appreciate the turn up, and I'm a business person. So when you're younger, you look at things a little bit different, right? But you got to look at the whole picture. This is good. You can't start early enough on this, right?
Right.
So when kids start jumping off balconies, you pretty much done. This is a big problem. So you can't allow it to get to that point. Like back in the day, we was really crowded for 5 weeks. I mean, it was kind of overloaded.
Intense, man.
But
as a young man,
did we have kids jump off the balcony? No.
Yes.
Did we have kids drunk?
Yes.
Did we have kids, beeping the horn on scooters? Yes, but some of y'all forget y'all was spring breaking also, whatever. So you got to give a little bit. And my perfect story, not my interesting story is that, I have to go behind the Contour train, right? I don't really like going half a mile. I got to get a place, but it's part of being in Key West.
Sure.
And I'll say this again. I'm sorry to have to bring this up again. So when MTV came in for the MTV house, Ed Swift sued the MTV house, and I had to call that hypocritical, because if we're in the tourism business and we're gonna be one human family, that I cut up when I had to go behind the tour train, when you got to deal with MTV for the time that they're here, and to me, that's the type of person I am. Just because me and you, we graduated, we played baseball together. If I see something that somebody's coming in, only been here for 18 months, and they write about something we wrong. It's not about just because you're a conk, you're right. You got to get everybody. This is the problem. We got to listen to other people and think outside the box.
That's right. But we also got to make sure, like you said, that when we sell something to people who staying at the Perry, staying downtown at these Airbnb, or staying at the bed and breakfast, the lodging association people, when they go out in the middle of the afternoon, that their experience that they expect is delivered on. That we're not selling them short by having it overcrowded,
right,
by having it dirty, we got a lot of work to do there. And we're leaving money on the table because those people aren't going out and spending money when there's that many cruise passengers.
And I got to tell you, whatever makes sense for the city and for my hometown, I'm with it. I'm going to come to the table and really hash it out, because I appreciate you boys coming to the table, because we're going to go to the table soon. And I'm going to let y'all know now, once I get to this table, I'm not letting y'all see Benson, and they were easy with y'all. I'm a demand that our voice is gonna be heard, and you work for taxpayers. And if we come up with something, I'm gonna do the best I can to basically, you buy in the program. If you're not, like he said, I'm gonna have to go a different angle. But I'm gonna get it done one way, at least to be heard. That's all I ask.
Me and you probably love Key West equally, which is like way too much. And we just want to make sure that everybody comes here, gets to feel a little bit of our hearts with it. Nothing but love going out to those people.
Yep.
We need to make sure that we take care of them and we represent ourselves well. And we can do that.
No question. We still got a lot of love. You want to look at some of these here? What we got there?
They have their own little discussion here. Rihanna and Days. I agree with you. Carrie, agreed. Will Benson, there is any say for Key West locals in regards to the length of stay for cruise ships? Carrie, not at the moment. We're hoping that we can talk to the cruise lines when we get smaller ships in here. They're much more likely to stay overnight if they are in the size that these referenda target. So a 1,300 person ship is much more likely to spend the night, go out to the theater, come check out the club if they live in large, visit a restaurant for dinner. It's much more likely than a Carnival ship that has 3,500 passengers.
Got you. Well,
Rhiannon says they got a minimum amount of time to dock, more like 3 hours. But that's tricky with the Margaritaville dockage because it would block hotel room views, so they would fight that. That's their thing, I don't know. I couldn't speak for them. Can you vote on this? And who has the final say for the length of stay for cruise ships? We don't know yet. We can't vote on it. We got to talk to these cruise lines, and we hope to engage with them pretty soon.
What else we got here?
Easier to require longer dockage at Truman Annex docks. Again, I couldn't speak for that business. Fact, it's too hot to wear a mask outside. You got to do it, Jorge. Yeah. We got to do it. We got to show the rest of the world.
I don't have a problem with the masks outside. I just want common sense being used, and I don't like dictatorship. I like the approach that you said. The approach is key. When you start mandating, it's like people telling a kid, you got to do this. You will do that. The more you tell them they're gonna do it, the less they're gonna do it.
Jorge, here's my advice to you: get back on island time. Move a little bit slower. Stay in the shade more. You know what I'm saying? Be 5 minutes late.
We're on conk town.
Yeah, conk town. The contraction that we are seeing in the economy, 30%. We have never seen the economy in the U.S. contract this much in the history of the Republic. Tim, we're going to have some belt tightening here.
Okay, we only got
If the newer, larger ships turn out to have the cleanest environmental records, would you accept them? Any boat that drags silt for 1.5 miles across our reef, I cannot support. So the Virgin cruise ship carries 2,700 passengers plus crew. That's too big. Point of fact, that ship actually has all of their food and beverage included on board. So they're much less likely to come on and spend money. So the size of the boats really needs to be within the boundaries of what Key West can handle for overcrowding, for environment, and for the health and safety of our people. Those mega ships, anything over 1,300, you look at the graph and it goes like this. The larger the ship, the more likely they are to carry COVID, the more likely they are to have norovirus, rotavirus, a whole bunch of diseases.
Like to be honest with you, like right now, I have family in Miami, right?
Yeah.
I ain't got no business being in Miami. I'm not going to Miami for no reason. Why would I go to Miami? I love Miami. It's not for the time for me to go. I'm gonna wait to things simmer down. That's my personal choice.
Down, tighten your belt.
Right. Cruise ships. If cruise ships open, they gave me, hey, look, you go spend $50,000 on the cruise ship. I probably won't go right now. But all I'm saying, that's my decision.
Right.
Or whatever. I'm grown. Let me make my own decisions. Though I'm not in a dictatorship. So that's all I say about that. Also, if you're just tuning in, I got my man Jolly Benson in the building. We've been talking about a whole bunch of topics, mostly cruise ships. Hit the notification button right over here. Boop. And on the YouTube, subscribing worldwide on the Louie C. Rock. Make sure you hit the subscribe button right over here. And let's see if we could knock them out here. What do we got?
Amy Kim Harrison says, cruise ships carry germ sickness. Keep kayakers so clean like before they came. And then some hugs and kisses. I'm assuming that's for you.
Both all love in the club. We share the love.
Jorge says, the Conch Tour train has a sticker on the back. Every one of their vehicles says one train equals 30 cars off the road. How many cars off the road does a cruise ship count for? You know, anytime I see a Conch Tour train with 3 people on it, I wonder how those people each going to ride 10 cars apiece. So the fact of the matter is, people that come on airplanes don't always have cars. People come on the ferry don't ever have cars. People that come on buses don't always have cars. We're talking about car congestion. We got a lot of traffic. I think there's an outside-the-box solution to that. That's to have an off-site parking like they do in Amsterdam. You can't drive downtown like they do in Venice. You can't drive downtown. You park that up on Rockland or Stock Island. There's a bus that drives back and forth. come in, walk, do your thing, get in your car, go back up the Keys, go back to Miami.
We from Stock Island, we got them scooters out there. I think it's about $3.90. You ride all day nonstop, but you gotta be careful on there. Don't use the front brake. If you like me and Benson out of Stock Island, you will spin on that gravel. You will hit the pavement. And then unfortunately, if you have this happen, go to FloridaKeysInjury.com. They're gonna take care of you, but we don't want nobody to get hurt around here because there's a lot of people, especially US 1.
Sure.
And for those of y'all watching worldwide on YouTube, one way in, one way out. Guaranteed them boys go see you. So go easy. When they say 35 on Big Pine, go 33. Watch out for them key deals.
Just go 35, man.
Yeah,
Stick to that speed limit. It's easy enough. You know?
Yes. What do you think about the restaurants being mandated to close at 11 o'clock?
You know, I think you should be able to eat dinner at 11:15 if you want. You know, I think the problem, and I understand why they put that in place, it's because after 11, you're more likely to have people drinking alcohol instead of eating dinner. And when we drink alcohol, you know, I just met you, but next thing me and you are best friends. We're hugging, we're singing together. And so that's why they put it in. I don't necessarily agree with it personally myself. I think there's some people that need to eat at 11 p.m. And if a restaurant thinks that they can make money staying open by serving food at 11, they should. It's the danger when it turns into a bar. So
I want to give a shout out to my people at Pepsi. You know, I don't drink a lot, but I drink Pepsi, but I cut down. But I love them boys over there on Stock Island, good people. And my opinion on that, and talking to health professionals, I just asked them one question, which was, does COVID have a turn-off time? At 11 o'clock, does that turn off? Because if that is, I'll tell you, shut it down. That'll be perfect, but it don't. It don't matter if it's 11, 10, or 8. And I'm going to go back to what I said before. You would agree that majority is cooperating business or corporate.
yeah, absolutely.
Then I try to circumvent the stuff. If they are, once again, City Hall, don't send code, send Key West PD, send the engineering department, send the fire department, send everybody straight up on a code red over there and go through the ceilings and make sure you look at everything so like that they know you're not playing around. Once you do that and you shut down these people that are not buying where we need to be around here, we'll have a less problem. But don't go to panicking. This ain't you a leader. You got to be on that boat going down. You got to stay on that boat because you're the captain. So let's start doing it like that, and that'll make me happy. But I understand you guys got a tough job, and at the end of the day, approach, have respect, be nice to people. Another thing is, please don't approach people on the goddamn street when you're in let's say Winn-Dixie and the person is not wearing a mask for whatever reason. Leave them people alone, man. Call the authorities. Don't get involved in that. Then people getting killed. Have you seen
I got an out-of-the-box solution for you too here.
Tell me.
Okay, so in Colombia, they're having a problem with jaywalking in the city.
Okay.
And that's not a real major crime or nothing, right?
Right.
You know what they did? They hired a clown to sit on the busiest streets and make fun of people that were jaywalking.
Wow.
You know what happened to jaywalking?
They didn't do it no more.
It went down like a rock.
Yeah.
So a creative solution like that to get people in a humorous way, I think, is always an effective way to make something like that happen. Remind people in a humorous way that this mask is important, that you're not wearing it for yourself, you're wearing it for somebody else. It's a patriotic thing to do. And I feel like we can do it here in Key West in a style like no other. We are the Conch Republic. We did that with humor, and we celebrate it like crazy now. We can do this
worldwide, and also
been to Mount Everest, been to the moon. You
people
know?
ask, man, what's wrong with these people walking them in the street? I said, man, this is like Walt Disney World, man. This is what these people gonna do or whatever. So I really don't get mad with them because I love to see. Matter of fact, anytime I like to be in the city where you don't know somebody and they say hello to you. I'll be glad that people say, hey, how do I get over here? I want to tell people local place to go, but which brings me to my next question. I mean, what do you think about, there is a movement, and we'll just touch on this briefly again, that wants to change the character and the culture of Key West and make it completely different. Do you agree or disagree, or what do you think about these people?
I moved here 6 weeks ago and immediately set out to change everything about this place. You know, people are always going to try to change something where they are to where they left. And I think you need to slow your roll on that a little bit. But I personally am not trying to change Key West to something that it's not. I feel like the character of Key West is so strong that all I have to do is let it shine. You know what I'm saying? And like let the people who live here and who vote here have a say in how we manage our businesses and our future. Let the people vote on it, and we're going to do it. So
and see, like, I didn't know a lot of stuff about you. So this man has paid his dues. I'll be honest with y'all. You know, he lived here. He was born here. He's straight out of Stock Island. I didn't know that. So when he brings something to the table, I'll be honest with you, even though you might have been here 3 years or whatever, this man is paid his dues or whatever. So he's from here. He's seen the whole thing from A to Z. So he's just not coming from somewhere else and trying to change. So basically that says a lot, because that shows that you care.
You don't got to be a conch to have a voice, but when people come at me and say that I just want to change it from where I came from, and I'm like, well, I would love everything to be like Stock Island in the 80s, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you could get a job shrimping.
Yeah.
But to say that I'm changing it to something that it's not, you know.
I think you're trying to improve the product.
Yeah. So these people, you know, I'm not on Facebook, thank God, but people that are on Facebook that don't know anything about the people they're attacking, they're just they're just lobbing bombs at people. Yeah. And you know what? I do want to change something about Key West. I want to make sure that Key West is able to thrive in the future. I want my little niece and nephew to be able to go out to the reef. I want them to see what a mutton snapper looks like.
Beautiful.
You know what I'm saying? A cooler full of mutton snapper is something that we should be passing down. And to do that, we need to manage the way that we go forward.
And I'll tell you a quick story about that boat. I don't play around with no boats. One day there was a new gentleman on a winch when I went out as a kid. First day on the winch. And you know, you have the winch, the one you tie up like this, and then the one comes on the back of the boat.
Sure.
So that was one of the new ones that come on the back of the boat.
Yeah.
Man, this son of a gun hit that lever, and I seen the trap fly like 4 feet in the air, hit the man in the chest and knocked him from here to the captain's cabin. I said, man, this ain't nothing to play around out here. That's why I learned stuff, and you could appreciate the labor of getting them boats loaded, doing 3 loads to get all your traps out. You know, you got to go wake up early, come back in, so it's a serious situation. I respect that.
Yeah.
I, matter of fact, had a change of opinion, because to me, as much as I love tourism, I wasn't for the mini season. And then I had Georgie Blanco from Stock Island explain to me that if it's got to happen, this is the way it's got to happen, because you don't want them together. That's right. His philosophy. Sure. What's your opinion on the mini season?
On the mini season, you know, when I was a kid, it was a holiday. I used to look forward to it. It got a little bit too popular, I think. So the solution to me is not to eliminate it necessarily. It's to make sure that the people who are coming down from Miami or Fort Lauderdale or Hialeah aren't overturning coral heads. You go out in the backcountry, you see 8 boats stacked up on one coral head, and at the end of the day, that coral head is upside down. There's no lobsters in there. So I think we need to do a lot of education for our visitors who are coming down here, and that's not necessarily law enforcement. It's more education enforcement.
Right.
You don't have these people go around and say, look, guys, if you overturn that coral head, we understand how excited you are to get all the lobsters out, but you then killed it for the next year.
Right.
So we need to make sure that we're talking to people and making them understand what's going on. But I know everybody that I grew up with, for the most part, considers mini season a holiday. Nowadays, it turned a lot of people off.
Yeah.
So I personally don't go out on mini season because I can't stand to see people disrespecting the environment.
Yeah.
So
I don't go out
if you
there
want to
either.
do it, that's fine. I think we need to figure out a way to make sure that we're
Once
not
again,
destroying.
talking to people, approach and trying to get.
It's a lot more effective than going
and
out.
if they don't listen,
blazing,
then you deal with the consequence.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some heat from my people because there's a lot of people up in arms about mini season. You know?
I got you. But you said you kept it 100 over here on the Louie C. the Mayor podcast. Blood Raw is what we call. You want to take one? I think we got one more there.
Carrie says, I now live in Milwaukee, my hometown, and I'm a registered nurse for the front line. I completely agree with what you said about how alcohol loosens people up and takes your guard down. Milwaukee opened up at the end of May, and the number of cases we now have is disgusting. There you go, Carrie. I feel we're back at square one. Restaurants should be able to serve food after 11. Alcohol, I do agree, should be time restricted until we can get the vaccine out. And yes, there is a vaccine in human trials now.
Yep.
We got a lot of work to do there, but it does make people...
And like I said, it's not about the time for me, it's about the message. I don't want people to come down here feel unwelcome. And, you know, when you come down here, spend that much money and you treat it poorly, you're not going to come back. So once again, it's got to be halfway, not all the way to the right, to the left. And I want the majority involved, which is good. The county commission voted. I don't want one person making decisions for me. There's 7 people up there. This is a democracy, and we have to work with people.
I talked about mini season. One thing, another out-of-the-box solution, right?
Yeah.
If we take casitas, you know, when I was growing up, that was a thing, right?
Yeah.
And we set up certain areas that have casitas, and we can let people mark them on a map. You can go dive this casita. It's anchored to the ground. You can't flip it over. Keep those people off the coral heads, off the natural structures that they don't understand how they, like when you're grabbing a coral with your sweaty hands. That, you know, if we set up The state of Florida is not willing to compromise in that area, but we know if you look at it, that these things are where baby lobsters live. Right. It's a habitat for them. Right. Set up some signature areas. People can go and find them pretty easy.
You know this character?
I know that guy.
Yeah. You know,
how you doing?
#1 Cuban mix in the world.
Mr. Tony.
Listen,
that's the collab right there.
You late on the program, boy. Me and Benson been at it since 6:45, boy. But he be up since like 5:10 out there on the breakfast.
He's probably just getting
Tony's
up now
Cuban
for
Cafe. That man serious on that football field.
That's the colada you want right there.
My man. What do you like most about the Conch Republic?
What do I like most about the Conch Republic?
Yeah, if you had to pick something, what do you like most to wrap it up here?
I mean, if there's one word, it's the people, because you can get all the weirdos, you can get the Catholics that go to church 3 times a day, living right next to the weirdest people on the planet, and you know what? They're friends. So there's no place in the world that can act like Key West.
My man Benson, what do you say?
We can enviro-engineer this thing.
Okay.
There you go. It's all about thinking outside the box a little bit, taking input from the lobster guys. What does somebody who fishes for lobster for a living have to say about mini season? How can we make it so that they can continue to fish for lobster and they can teach their kids how to get bugs, man?
No question. And I got to tell you, I'm gonna keep it blood raw on here. As of right now, I just say this off the top. I don't know how to do it any other way. Anybody got a problem with Benson? Got a problem with me now, because I think the man has been very fair, and I think that he has an opinion. I have my opinion, but I admire the respect and try to get stuff to the table. So please, if you have a disagreement, let's just come with the solution and figure it out, and we could be better for that. Because at the end of the day, divide is no good. If we're gonna change the world, we gotta start changing ourselves. Louie C. the Mayor on the podcast. All love right now. Advanced Urgent Care, Key West Marathon, and Key Largo. Dr. Burrows on the program tomorrow is going to be very serious tomorrow, so make sure you come in right at 6:45 and listen. I don't care what they talking about. They can't, they won't, they ain't never going to stop the party. We all the way live right now, WOW 92.7 FM. Make sure that you tune in all the way to all my DJs are going to go in for y'all and boost spirits. And then FloridaKeysInjury.com. Lawyers for accident in the Keys. If you have an accident on a moped, bicycle, car, them boys will take care of you. Any closing words before we get out of here? Are you ready to
How many state titles?
11.
12. We was robbed that one time.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Holla!